Hello and welcome again to Yahusha's Call. We're on part 4 of These Things Must Come to Pass series. We started off on series number 1, just really kind of encouraging our people to know that they've done much contribution here in the land of their captivity, and they should be remembering and thinking on that. That was number 1. And then we got on to number 2, where we really was talking about Yah and how he is bringing things to pass, and we have to understand how to break them down so we can really be relevant for the moment of what he is doing in the earth. And then we continued on to some of the problems and troubles that are going to come upon this earth. And I'm going to go back to that point that we left off, which was in St. Luke 21. And we're going to go back to verse 26, 21 and 26. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. I looked at a report from Johns Hopkins medical research, and it states that anxiety, and I'm quoting here, anxiety may have an association with the following heart disorders and cardiac risk factors. And one of them is increased blood pressure, and if chronic, it can lead to coronary disease, weakening of the heart muscle, and heart failure. So Yahusha says that anxiety, he said himself, fear is anxiety. Anxiety is fear. And when you look at it that way, you can see what he's saying. He's saying that fear, a heart of anxiety, and Johns Hopkins agrees, brings forth heart diseases and heart problems and death. Well, Yahusha saw it back 2,000 years ago. Well, we know he's the first, the last, that he that has come and coming back again. And he knew what was going to come on this earth, and he knew how men would react to it. So he says here that men's hearts were failing them for fear or anxiety. And heart disease is with us dramatically right now. And for looking after those things. So it's not all about obesity and eating habits, which you Yehudis should start eating better. Leave that pork alone, leave those shellfish alone, and start eating according to Scripture, eating wholesome foods, and you will see him bless you with good health in this day and time, miraculously good health. Faith comes by works. People don't want to believe that. Faith comes by hope, and hope comes by faith. No. Faith comes by hope of things looking forward to. But let me tell you something. Faith is a verb. Faith means action. You cannot say you have faith, James said, and if you have faith, you're going to have works. Works will show you I have faith. That's what he's talking about. So your faith is in your work. Not that works is faith, but faith brings works about. That's the collateral damage of faith. That's the result of faith. It's an action word. It's not a inactive word. So as you put your faith in who you are to work and start eating properly, you're going to find that you're starting to feel better and your health can be restored. Because this is the things that he has promised us, his people. But getting back to the scripture, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. Sometimes when you look at things that are coming, they're more frightful than the things you're going through at the moment, because you can imagine a lot greater sometimes than what you're actually being afflicted with. So that's what's causing the anxiety. Is that all right? Then he goes on to say that if you look down a little further, it says, for the powers, and the Strong's Concordance uses this word powers, for the powers. Let's stop right there and look at Strong's. It's G1411, dynamis. So he says, the dynamis of heaven shall be shaken. If you look at Matthew 24:29, it says, immediately after the tribulation. I want you to put your finger on that. After, put a big old line under that word after. There's a message here. And then we're going to go back to this power. Immediately after the tribulation, on the heels of the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall give her light. At the end of the tribulation, there'll be something that's going to take effect that's so powerful, so gigantuan, so unbelievable. The sun is going to stop shining. You're talking about how hot it is now. Can you imagine when the sun stops shining, how cold it's going to be? How dark it's going to be? Listen, I think to the last series, I talk about that. So, the sun will be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Now, you know, I used to look at that and wonder, how are those stars going to come down here? Because, you know, they tell us that all these planets are above us, and they can't possibly hit there wouldn't be enough Earth here to take one of them, let alone if all of them fell. So what did it mean? The stars shall fall. Now, you recall, Satan and his horde was cast into this firmament, into this heaven. They're here. You may not can see him, but they call him, he's the prince of the air. He's here, causing havoc everywhere he can. We're going to learn a little bit more about this subject. So, hold on, let's read a little bit more. So he says, the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And we go to Strong's Concordance G4531. What does it mean to be shaken here? Well, it means to agitate, to cause to totter, or to fall. He's not talking about planets falling to the earth. If you go to Mark 13:25, it says, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. They shall totter. They shall fall. Listen to this. To understand this, we have to understand what powers of heaven is. So I'm going to take you to Ephesians chapter 3, verse 10a, the first part of that verse. Principalities and powers in heavenly places. Principalities and powers in heavenly places. Stop right there. Let's go over to the 6th chapter of Ephesians, same book or letter, verse 12, 6:12. For we wrestle not, says the Apostle Saul, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. I tell you all the time, we don't fight. We are not violent. You don't take your war to people. You got to go do what's motivating those folks. That's where the fight is, and that's the fight you and I can't handle. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against here's that word again, principalities. Here's that word powers again coming up. Against powers. Against powers. Against the rulers of the darkness of this world. The influences, demonic influences of this world. And against spiritual wickedness. What is wickedness? Is brewing in the on what they call it, sides, at the sides and the around us and everywhere, waiting for the right person to come along with the weaknesses so they can use them. Listen to this. We're all against spiritual wickedness in where? In low places? In high places. Those high places are people's minds that completely give over to these entities. It's a good word for them. Entities, spiritual entities, evil, wicked entities. And that are in earth. Hold on. These entities, these wicked, spiritual wickedness in high places, we can see them all around us using people in the earth. And they are in high places. Look to your governments. Look to the wars they keep putting us in. Look to the they can't get along. Look at the violence they're always threatening one another. You think that's not godliness? That's evil. That's wickedness. All for me, none for you. That's wickedness. He goes on to say in Colossians, we're leaving Ephesians now, and we're going to Colossians 1:16. It says, for by him were all things created. We're talking about Yahusha. That are in heaven. And that are in earth. That's what the invisible and the visible. Visible and invisible. Whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. What are we now? We're getting there. What are powers? Authorities. Well, who has these authorities? That's what we want to know. Stick with me. Powers. Powers are entities. All power is in Yahuwah. He has all power. But he has a creation. He has created beings. He has created visible and invisible beings. Terrestrial and celestial beings. He has created them. Now, when he says these powers are going to fall, what is he talking about? Let's dig a little bit deeper before we give that answer. Powers. They also are mainly talking here about messengers. You call them angels, we call them messengers of the Most High. Not all messengers are of Yahuwah, because some fell. They were all created by him. But if you remember, Lucifer took a third of the angels down to this level of heaven when he was kicked out of the higher heaven. All right? So these beings are powerful. I remember the story, how they came, the 7 angels came to visit earth. And remember them, they're the ones that saw the women and of the daughters of men, and ended up having sex with them, and ended up having children that turned children that were giants in the land. Mutation. There's mutants walking around here with you every day, and you don't even know it. There are mutants still here today. They look like you, but they are not you. I'll tell you what they are, and I can get into another subject on that. But they are not human. They are a species. I'll get into that. I want to do a whole teaching on it, because I'll just do a piece here. I won't get you to get the right understanding of this. So I'm going to stop there, and I will try to do it on the next segment. I'll try to do it on the next series. I'll talk about, I've had to write it down, species and humans. I'll do something on that, okay? Plus, somebody also, I have a request from one of our beautiful what do you call it, subscribers who wants me to do teaching on the feasts. And I told her I would look into doing that because I want people to have a full understanding about what that's all about. All right. Okay. So let's move on. Powers, messengers, angels of the Most High, authorities. What did Enoch see? We saw in the book of Enoch the Watchers. And the Watchers are what they call cosmic beings. Cosmic beings. They're heavenly authorities, heavenly realm. They have dominions in these heavenly realms. All right? Okay, these are cosmic beings who possess the innate ability to achieve virtually any effect desired, including augmenting personal attributes, talents, time and space manipulation, molecular manipulation, energy projection, and a range of mental disorders. They also have access to highly advanced technology, as well as in charge of the climate or climate control, etc. And then before I go to the finish this, it says dominion. I have to pull that in because it mentioned principalities, powers, dominion. Dominion means control. It means power to control. It means rule. It means government. It means jurisdiction. It means territory of a sovereign government or a sovereignty or government. And the synonyms for that is dependency, colonialism, anyway, it's another story, protectorate, territory, province, outpost. So it's an area of control. Now, the fallen angels are those created beings, angels who followed Lucifer and were cast out of the heaven of heavens, where Yah dwells, okay? Down here to the atmospheric heavens of the earth. That's what it was thrown. All right. And then it goes on to say that the scriptures describes them in the New Testament as principalities and powers, rulers of darkness and spirits of wickedness in high places. So I believe that. I see that happening. I see it every day. I see their influence in the earth. I see the wicked deeds of men. I see the horrid things that they do. Now, let's go back to what we promised we would do. We would say that these heavens would be shaken, going back over like I promised. Let's look at Mark again, and also 13:25. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in the heaven shall be shaken. We're not talking about some literal planets, or which aren't, I don't know if they exist or not. I haven't seen one. But anyway, these stars. He's talking about principalities and powers. He's talking about Satan's horde will be shaken. Oh, come on now. And you know, if he's being shaken, those that he controls are being shaken. They're going to fall. First, they fell out of heaven to this atmosphere. Now they're going down again, and he's going to destroy them. I know Satan's going to the bottom of this pit. But it says here that he will shake their powers. He will shake them loose. He will destroy them. He will take their power from them and judge them accordingly. If you go to Revelation 12 and 7 to 9th verse, and we're going to finish this off on the next. We'll do one more part here. If you go to this, it says the fallen angels are those created beings. We read that. And we go to Revelation 12, 7, 9. And there was war in where? Heaven. Heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, Satan himself. And the dragon fought, and who else? And his angels. These are the stars. Listen to this. And prevailed not. They're going to come falling down. They're going to be shaken, defeated, they're going to totter, and they're going to fall. Where? To earth. Right now, they're trying to build portals everywhere. They're getting ready to welcome them in anyway. We don't have to welcome them, they're coming anyhow. They prevailed not. No, they lost the fight. So don't go betting on Satan or Lucifer, y'all out there who's worshiping him right now. He's a loser. And prevailed not, neither, underline this in the scriptures, neither was their place found any more. Where? In heaven. In heaven. People think that's the first time he was thrown out. He was thrown from the third heaven. The first heaven, we right here. It's right above our heads. And inside this first heaven is spirituality, principalities and powers all over. They're everywhere. You just can't see them. They show up when they want, in people when they want. They do with people as they will. Those who are wicked, agreeing with Satan, and those who are ignorant and not agreeing with him. They don't care. Let's go on, and then I'm going to end it here. And the great dragon was cast, thrown. Cast means to throw. You take a stone and you cast it, you're throwing it. He was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. If this was in what had already taken place, this wouldn't be a prophecy in Revelation. So like he's getting kicked out again. Only this time is a little lower heaven than it was the first time. And he goes on to say that old devil, that called the devil, that's Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into. So he's coming out of something. If you're going into something, you have to coming out of something else. What is he coming out of? He's coming out of heaven's sphere, heaven's realm. There, I tell you, do a study on the portals that they're putting up in all these countries. America included, England, all over Europe. They're putting up portals. The one they're working on in Switzerland, CERN, and all these things, to welcome their leader. That he's going to be having some skin up head when he come down here. Because Michael's going to tear it up. Whee! And the great dragon was cast or thrown out, that old serpent called the devil, Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth. I can't see it, that is no plainer than that. Now, as plain as you can see it. And his angels were thrown out with him. They only were here to see Yah's will be done. He was the influence of the world, the governments of this world, the leaders of this world, the politics of this world, the entertainment of this world. All of those entities that made you famous were using you, taking the gifts that Yah gave you by instinct, natural, turning into something obtuse and ugly for his sake and not for the name of the Most High. Deceived. Deceived to thinking that money would make you happy. Deceived to think that fame would put your name in lights and make you happy. But it has not. It has not made you happy because the one who gave it to you is miserable. I'm going to talk about on the last of these, actually we're doing 5, but these last 4, I'm mainly dealing with the things that are coming to pass. I'm trying to build you up on number 1, let you know who you are. But in the next one, number 5, I'm going to talk about what's coming in the near future. I don't want you to miss that. That's what I will be rounding off these series with. But meantime, know that these signs that you're seeing on a daily basis are real. Cloud, whether it's a cloud formation or sounds or objects or no strange noises or falling lights, comets they call them. I don't know if they're the comets or not. They're given to you, Yehudis, for a sign. You, Yisrael, for a sign. You, believers, for a sign. That the things that are promised to come to pass have, are, and are going to complete themselves. Therefore, on the next segment, we're going to talk about getting ready for just that. Getting ready. So don't you forget to tune in. It'll be series number 5, and that's where we'll talk about the near future. Don't you miss it. And then we'll stop that series and move on to something else that Yah gives us for you. We love you with the love of Yahusha, with all of our hearts. You take care and go with Yahusha. Why do I say that? Because if you go with him and obey his commandments, his Torah, the ones, the ones he put in your heart, not on stone, but written on the fleshy heart, he's inside of us and he's teaching us how to please him. Until next time, bye-bye.